Hello Internet, this is Scott with Scott's Garage. Please excuse my voice, I am suffering from a cold. My videos mainly have to deal with automobile repair, do-it-yourself. You've seen videos on both these vehicles here. This video will be different. In my garage, there's a stack of bricks. We've been in this house for exactly 1 year. It's a new home build, and there were leftover bricks from the project, and they've been in my garage for a year, and it's time to get them out of the garage. Now, our entire house is made out of brick, and we love how it looks, and the bricks in the garage match the bricks, obviously, on the house. So in this video, it'll probably be 3 videos total, I'm going to show you what I came up with, the plan to use these bricks, and basically it involves landscaping. We have a problem here. Whenever it rains, the rain washes out the stuff in the flower beds, and also if you look at this, the grass easily grows into the flower beds, and the trees are a major problem. There's no defined line at all around it. Again, the grass just goes to the roots of the trees, and so I'm going to create some landscape edging or landscape curbs. I'm going to call it both in these videos, and I want them to be interlocking, and so I asked some flexibility, moving them a bit, and so that's what this is all about. Okay, let me explain this. So this would be the street view, and you can see that I allowed some notches here that allows for overlap, and these are bricks. This is street view, and so there'll be 2 courses of bricks, and there's space in between the bricks, so 6.5 inches really from top to bottom to allow room to fill in the gaps. Here's where it interlocks, so you can see it's offset a little bit, and that's how the curbs or the landscape edging interlocks. And on the side here, I can go straight this way, but also the flower bed's 90 degree, and this will allow it to interlock both ways. Okay, let's turn and I'll show you the form. So this is the form made out of 2x6s, and there's a top and a side for pouring. Side will be 6 inches. The top, which will be the side, is actually 6.5 inches. Allow room for room around the bricks, and you can see that I'll be creating some blocks made out of 2 2x6s, 3 inches by 6 inches, on kitty corner from each other, and this will allow for the interlocking. And I'll put half of concrete in, and then I'll put some bricks on top, and then fill in the gaps from there. Okay, let me explain this a little bit. So come out the front door here. It's 7 feet from here to here. So a 4-footer, a 3-footer, they interlock, overlap. And then coming out this way, some 2 and 3-footers, 2-footers. Then I want a curve, and these will be squares that interlock as well. I'll show you how to do that. And just kind of estimated what I would say is like a 7-foot radius, kind of sweeping this way. And we'll go from there. Here's what I came up with briefly for the trees. It's called a nonagon, a 9-sided polygon. I've decided that video 3 in this project will entirely explain what this is all about. Okay, I executed upon my written plan. I've created these forms using old 2x6s. I've already poured around as well. This one is not complete yet. I'll explain that in a second. It'll kind of help me explain how this all works. First of all, I want to talk about the straight pieces, or the 90s. So much of the flower bed edging will be straight curbs or edging that interlock, and that's what this is all about, as I explained before. You do that using blocks. These blocks are simply 2 2x6s, 6x6, 6 inches by 6 inches, taped together. Makes it a little bit easier. And you put one of them in this corner, you put the other one on kitty corner, and
when you pour this, it basically is kind of on its side right now. Once it's finished, you put it this way, so this edge actually becomes the top or the bottom, depending how you look at it. And then the interlock, you can do a 90 or you can do a straight. And let me explain a little bit more here. Now, with these forms, before you pour anything, you want to make sure that the cement, concrete, excuse me, doesn't stick to it. And what I use is simply finishing wax. So really cheap, any hardware store you can buy this. And I put a liberal coat of this finishing wax on the wood of the form and the blocks and the base. I probably wouldn't have to with the base, but I did anyway. And anyway, make sure you do that with all the forms. And the procedure will be this, that I'll mix up some concrete, and I use 5 parts of aggregate sand with 1 part of Portland cement. I just do it myself. It makes for a good mix. And I will just shovel it in each of these forms and filling them halfway, and it's still wet and stuff. And then what I do is I take a hand float and I tap it down. This float fits nicely in there. Tap it down, so again it's halfway down, it's about 3 inches down. Then what I do is I use some rebar, a pre-cut piece of rebar. This is a number 3, basically 3/8 inch rebar, very inexpensive. And I'll run the rebar diagonally, so it's in that again concrete about 3 inches. Tap it down, and then I'll do that with several of these forms. The next step then, while it's still wet, is taking bricks and simply placing them on top. If you can picture, again, the cement is there, and you simply put them in place so that it lies on top of what's already been poured. May have to cut some of the bricks to make them fit, and you do that with as many as you've filled halfway up. And it's okay if it dries a little bit. And I'm going to show you over here. This is from the first pour, so you can see the bricks are there. And once that's done and bricks are in place, I'll create a new mix using a little more sand in the aggregate with the Portland cement, and then basically I'll use a trowel, and this works really nicely. And just scoop it in, and if you can imagine here, so you simply tap it in place, you push it down, you get it in there, and then it starts to set up a little bit. And after it is set up a little bit, then I use this tool, and this basically strikes the joints so that they look similar to what's already on the house. So that's the overall, and then you let it dry for at least a day. And then you take the forms apart. By the way, I simply used some screws, just normal drywall screws, what I used, a Phillips head, and don't use nails, use screws. And then when you take the forms apart, you just simply take off one side, and it'll all easily come off. I'll show you in video 2 of this project. Now, briefly, I want to talk about the other forms. So the main part of the flower bed, straight 90, and as I explained on my graph, that I want to curve it around. And I've done this, I've experimented with these forms, the form curves. How do you do that? And the answer is, instead of using blocks, you use wedges. So I've already created these wedges. I have here, these are 50-degree wedges, and this is a 20-degree wedge. So for the flower bed, I'm going to use 20-degree wedges. For the trees, I'm going to use 50-degree. Now what that means is that for 20 degrees, it basically, these are about 20 inches wide, a 20-degree wedge. It forms about a 7-foot radius arc, which is just perfect for what I'm doing. And for the tree, I don't want a 7-foot radius, but more like a 2.5-foot radius. And so the greater the degree, so this is 50-degree, these wedges, then you can have a little bit tighter. This will form the nonagon around the tree. So same principle, you simply create the wedges out of 2x6s, and tape them together on opposite ends. I'll pour it the same way, put the rebar in the same way, put the blocks in the same way, and that's basically what this one is all set up for. And this ends part one of this project. If you got any value out of this at all, please hit like. It doesn't cost you anything, but it's a great value to me. If you're not subscribed to Scott's Garage, please do so. I would just love to have you on my channel. And I look forward to seeing you again in part two of this project. And as always, have a great day.